Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, often referred to as El Padrino, the Godfather, was one of the most notorious drug lords in Mexico's history. He was the mastermind behind the Guadalajara cartel, which rose to power in the 1980s and played a pivotal role in shaping the drug trade between Mexico and the United States, particularly California. The rise of Félix Gallardo. Born in 1946 in Culiacán, Sinaloa, Félix Gallardo started his career as a police officer. However, his ambitions quickly led him into the world of drug trafficking. In the late 1970s, he established the Guadalajara cartel, which became the first major drug cartel in Mexico. Under his leadership, the cartel grew exponentially, controlling much of the drug flow into the United States. Félix Gallardo was a strategic thinker who understood the power of alliances. He forged strong connections with Colombian cartels, particularly Pablo Escobar's Medellín cartel, allowing him to control the smuggling routes from South America through Mexico and into the U.S. By the early 1980s, Félix Gallardo's cartel had become a well-oiled machine, moving tons of cocaine, marijuana, and heroin across the border. He also employed a sophisticated network of corrupt officials, ensuring that law enforcement in Mexico and the U.S. turned a blind eye to his operations. His influence extended into California, where his drugs flooded the streets of major cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego. The fall. Félix Gallardo's downfall began in 1985 with the brutal murder of DEA agent Enrique "Kiki" Camarena. Camarena had been investigating the Guadalajara cartel and had gathered enough evidence to pose a serious threat to its operations. In response, Félix Gallardo ordered his kidnapping, torture, and execution. The murder of a U.S. federal agent sparked outrage in both the United States and Mexico. The U.S. launched Operation Leyenda, the largest DEA homicide investigation ever undertaken, dedicated to bringing those responsible for Camarena's death to justice. Despite the intense manhunt, Félix Gallardo managed to evade capture for several years. He continued to run his empire from behind the scenes, moving to Mexico City and adopting a low profile. However, the pressure on his cartel grew as Mexican and U.S. authorities intensified their crackdown on drug trafficking. In 1989, after years of evading justice, Félix Gallardo was finally captured in a raid on his home in Guadalajara. His arrest marked the beginning of the end for the Guadalajara cartel. Félix Gallardo was sentenced to 37 years in prison for his role in Camarena's murder and his involvement in the drug trade. The legacy. Even after his conviction, Félix Gallardo's influence on the drug trade continued to be felt. His arrest led to the fragmentation of the Guadalajara cartel into smaller, more violent factions, including the Sinaloa cartel, the Tijuana cartel, and the Juarez cartel. These splinter groups went on to dominate the drug trade in Mexico, leading to the bloody cartel wars that have plagued the country for decades. Félix Gallardo remains in prison, where he has spent the last 3 decades. Now in his late 70s, he is a shadow of the powerful figure he once was. Yet, his legacy lives on in the drug cartels that continue to operate across Mexico and in the countless lives affected by the violence and addiction that his empire helped create. Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo's story is a stark reminder of the far-reaching consequences of the drug trade and the complex web of corruption and violence that sustains it. His rise and fall serve as a cautionary tale of power, greed, and the inevitable downfall that awaits those who pursue it at the expense of others. Thanks for tuning into Sika True Crime Docs. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating tales. Your support helps us keep bringing these stories to life. See you in the next episode.